I want to now get into sort of like the theory and the techniques behind DJing, because it's not just a matter of playing a song and then switching it back and forth. There's a lot of techniques that have evolved through all these different DJs that started working in the 60s and the 70s. So one of the things that we're going to look at right now is something called beat matching. So there's two different things. There's beat mixing and beat matching. The first thing that I want to look at is beat mixing. And this is talking about tempos. And a tempo of a song is sort of like the speed it goes, whether it goes fast or whether it goes slow. And that speed is measured in something called BPMs, or beats per minute. So what that is, how they come up with that is when you listen to a song, they actually count whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4. What they do is they count those beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, and how many of those beats happen in a minute. So a slower song would have something like 90 beats per minute, would go something like 1, 2, 3, 4. And something that's a bit faster, like 128 beats per minute, would be something like 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are lucky that with UDJ, and if you're using any sort of software for DJing, it actually tells you the beats per minute here. So Salt-N-Pepa, for example, is 128 beats per minute. So that's my fastest song. And my slowest song is Grandmaster Flash, The Message. That's only 101 beats per minute. Now, of course, when DJing started, and with records, didn't come with the beats per minute. So there are different ways to figure this out. So the DJs back in the day would actually have to do a lot of this by ear, but you could actually figure out the beats per minute if you need to with a record, but actually counting. So what they would do is they would listen to the song and they would count for 30 seconds, and then they would times that by 2, and that would give them beats per minute. So what they would do is write that beats per minute on maybe the sleeve of the record, so they know what the beats per minute is. Why this is important is that when you're mixing two songs together, you want the beats per minute to be pretty close. You want the transition from one song to another to go pretty smooth. So this is my playlist. This is my old school playlist, and I have my 5 songs here. So you can see that they range from 101 beats per minute to 128 beats per minute. If I was going to mix 2 songs together, so say I mix my slowest song, which is Grandmaster Flash, and my fastest song, which is Salt-N-Pepa, then going from 101 beats per minute to 128 per minute is sort of an awkward mix, because if I'm dancing and I'm kind of dancing at a rhythm of 101 beats per minute, then all of a sudden it changes to the next song that's a bit faster. It's a bit awkward. Let me just, let you hear how that sounds. Okay, so that's pretty awkward. So what I'm doing as a DJ, I want to sort of like pick songs that are pretty close to the same beats per minute. So when I am doing a mix, and that it's like a nice smooth transition. So I mean, some DJs on purpose, they go from a fast to a slow song, and they do that for a certain reason. But generally, you want to sort of keep the party going, and you want to have songs that are sort of similar. So if I was going to make a decision on what are 2 songs that are best to mix together, I would say it would be something like either Salt-N-Pepa and Run DMC, because they're close, or perhaps something like the Beastie Boys and Grandmaster Flash. So I have Grandmaster Flash already loaded. Let's put the Beastie Boys Intergalactic there. So this actually makes the transition much smoother. So let's just listen.
It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep going.
Okay, so that makes the transition much smoother. Okay, so there are songs that you're going to find that maybe just have dots on here, and that's because the information, the beats per minute, isn't available. And so there are different ways to find that out, and we'll do that later. But we're not going to use, for our mixing purposes, we're not going to use anything that doesn't have the beats per minute listed, because with this particular program, there are better programs, we can't make that adjustment. Now, your crossfader it does two things. It actually changes the beats per minute. So as you can see, the Grandmaster Flash is 101 beats per minute. It's listed right here, and that's what it tells me. If I slide the crossfader all the way to the right to intergalact it, it actually changes it to 106 beats per minute. If I put the crossfader in the middle, which means it's playing both songs at the same time, it actually changes the beats per minute to 106 beats per minute for both songs. So if I'm playing them both at the same time, they're both going to be 106 beats per minute, and then they're automatically synced. This is a basic feature with UDJ. With a lot of other programs, you can sync them and you can change them and you can do some different stuff. Now, when you change the beats per minute, you are actually changing the sound of the song. And I'll just give you an example. If I was mixing Grandmaster Flash, that's 101 beats per minute, with Run DMC, It's Tricky. It's Tricky is 127, so much faster than Grandmaster Flash. So
this speech is my recital. I think it's very vital to rock around. That's right.
On top.
So you can hear by me changing the Run DMC to match the 101 beats per minute for the Grandmaster Flash, slowing down the beats per minute makes things lower. Vice versa, if I was changing it to 128 beats per minute,
people pissing on the stage, you know they just don't care.
by speeding up the beats per minute for Grandmaster Flash, it makes it not only faster, but makes everything a little bit higher. So that's another reason why sometimes you could use that to your advantage, but it makes the song sound kind of awkward. So that's another reason why when we take two songs, we actually want to make sure that they're when we're picking what songs, we want to make sure that they're songs that are sort of close to the same beats per minute. Okay, so that way they sort of match, and that way the song sounds more authentic. Okay, now, so that is beat mixing. So when you're mixing the different tempos. Now there's beat matching as well. So the way things work is that there's downbeats. So most songs are like 4/4 tempo, which means if you've never done music before, and intuitively you sort of know this, but songs sort of go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So most pop songs, hip hop songs, rap songs, and everything are 4/4 time. So there are songs that are like, say, 3/4 time, which means it goes 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. If they have different time signatures, you can't mix them, right? You can't mix 1, 2, 3, 4 with a song that goes 1, 2, 3. It won't work. But most songs in these genres that we would be mixing are 4/4 time, which is why we're able to mix them. But what makes them a good mix is when the beats are aligned in the same downbeat. So the 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So not only do we have to match up the tempos, which is the beat per minute, but the downbeat. So thankfully on programs like we're using, like UDJ, you can actually visually see where the downbeat is. So it actually will line it up. So on UDJ, the one song is in orange and the second song is actually in red. And so the two different songs, it will tell you when the beats are 1, 2, 3, or 4. And what we want to do is we want to have both songs come on so the beats are matching, so they both have the same downbeat. So for example, I would play the first song.
Can't take the smell, can't take the noise, got no money to provide, I guess I got no choice. Rats in the front room, roaches in the
and I
back.
press play.
In the alley with the baseball bat. I tried to get away, but I couldn't get far, cause a man with a tow truck repossessed my car. Don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge.
So they're both doing the same beats, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that way when they switch from one to the other, it's a smoother transition and keeps sort of the rhythm going, right? It's really awkward if it starts, they start different spots. So that is called beat matching. So what I want you to experiment with now is I want you to choose two songs from your playlist that are similar. If they're exact, that's great, but they don't have to be exact. But I want you to pick two songs that are similar BPMs, beat per minute, that are pretty close. And I want you to load them up, and I want you to press play on the first one. and get it started with your slider all the way to the left and get it started. And then I want you to watch the beats as they go, and I want you to beat match it and press play on the second one and try and line them up. And then what I want you to do is then I want you to practice counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and then slowly transitioning from one to another. And I want you to practice that. Okay, so you don't need to hand that in, but I just want you to practice that.